The gymnasium lights flickered softly as the crowd cheered, and in the middle of the dance floor stood Ali, a shy, poor university student in a borrowed suit, his hand gently clasping that of Ayesha, a girl who once told him she was just a nurse. The music faded, the crowd held its breath, and Ali whispered, "You never told me who you really are." Her eyes glistened, a tear escaping as she smiled. "Would you have still asked me to be your date if you knew?" The screen fades to black. Flashback begins. Chapter 1. The Boy Who Never Stopped Dreaming. Ali was known around campus as the quiet one, the boy who always sat at the back of the class, who worked late nights at a local tea stall just to afford his textbooks. His shoes were worn, his bag patched, but his spirit unbreakable. He lived in a tiny rented room near the bus stop, where the noise of honking rickshaws became his lullaby. Every night after his shift, he'd look at the stars from his cracked window and whisper, "Someday, I'll be more than this." Despite his poverty, Ali had a golden heart. He volunteered at the nearby hospital, not for money, but to learn. He wanted to study medicine one day, to save lives the way doctors once saved his little sister. That's where he met Ayesha. Ayesha was kind, warm, and carried herself with quiet grace. She wore the plain uniform of a nurse, her hair tied neatly, her smile enough to calm even the most anxious patient. Ali thought she was beautiful, not in the glamorous way, but in the way she made others feel seen. At first, he only admired her from afar. He'd watch as she offered comfort to elderly patients, her laughter filling the ward like sunlight. But one evening, fate intervened. Ali was pushing a wheelchair when it suddenly slipped on the wet floor. Ayesha rushed over, steadying him just before he fell. Their hands touched briefly. He blushed. She smiled. That single moment lit a spark neither of them expected. Days passed. Their paths crossed more often, small smiles, shared cups of tea, stories about dreams and struggles. She told him she worked double shifts to help her family, and he confessed how he studied on an empty stomach sometimes, determined to build a better life. And then one afternoon, the university announced its annual spring dance. Ali laughed at the idea. "People like me don't go to dances," he told his friend Hassan. "We serve drinks there." But Ayesha overheard him one evening and said softly, "Maybe you should go, for once, do something just for yourself." Her encouragement stayed with him. For days, he couldn't stop thinking about it. What if he asked her? What if, just this once, he believed he deserved happiness too? So, with trembling hands, Ali approached her after her shift, the sound of heart monitors faint in the background. "Ayesha," he stammered, "I know it's crazy, but, would you be my date to the dance?" Ayesha froze, surprised. Then slowly, a smile crept across her face. "You're asking me?" Ali nodded, his ears burning red. "Yes. I mean, if you're free. I don't have a car or fancy clothes, but..." She laughed softly. "Ali, I'd love to." That night, he couldn't sleep. For the first time in his life, he wasn't thinking about money or hardship. He was thinking about her. But what Ali didn't know, was that Ayesha was no ordinary nurse. Her father was Mr. Raza Qureshi, one of the most powerful CEOs in the city, owner of Qureshi Pharmaceuticals, the very company that donated to the hospital where they met. Ayesha had chosen to work there quietly, under no family name, to understand life beyond privilege. And now, she was falling for someone who had no idea who she really was. Chapter 2. The Dance, the Truth, and the Promise. The night of the dance arrived. Ali borrowed his friend's old suit and polished his shoes until they almost shone. He had spent his week's wages buying a single white rose. It wasn't much, but it was everything he could offer. When Ayesha entered the hall, the music seemed to pause. She wore a simple blue dress, elegant yet modest, and for a moment, Ali forgot to breathe. Everyone turned to look at her, but she only looked at him. They danced, laughed, and talked like the world outside didn't exist. For Ali, it felt like a dream he never wanted to wake from. But dreams don't last forever. Midway through the evening, the principal's voice echoed from the stage, announcing special guests. "We are honored to have Mr. Raza Qureshi, CEO of Qureshi Pharmaceuticals, and his family with us tonight." The crowd erupted in applause. Ayesha's face turned pale. Ali followed her gaze, and froze. The man walking in was one he'd seen in newspapers, shaking hands with politicians and business tycoons. Behind him, Mrs. Qureshi and a few company executives entered, all eyes turning toward Ayesha. Whispers spread. Isn't that his daughter? What's she doing here? Ali blinked in disbelief. Daughter, he whispered. They mean you. Ayesha's eyes filled with tears. Ali, I wanted to tell you, but I didn't want you to see me as someone else. I just wanted to be me. Before he could respond, her father approached, his voice stern. Ayesha, you were supposed to be in London this month, not pretending to be a nurse. His eyes then shifted to Ali, his tone sharp. And you, what are you doing with my daughter? Ali stepped back, humiliated. The murmurs, the judgmental stares, they felt like knives. He wanted to disappear. But then, something inside him changed. He looked at Ayesha, standing there trembling, and he realized, this wasn't about money or status. This was about truth. I didn't know who she was, sir, he said, his voice steady. I just knew she was kind. She helped people. She made me believe in myself again. That's all. The crowd fell silent. Ayesha's father said nothing, but there was something in his eyes, respect, perhaps, buried deep beneath pride. Ali turned to leave, but Ayesha grabbed his hand. Ali, please don't go. He smiled sadly. You deserve someone from your world, Ayesha. But she shook her head. You are my world. You see me for who I am, not my father's name. Tears welled in her eyes as she held onto him. You asked me to the dance, Ali. Now I'm asking you, don't let go. And in front of everyone, she took his hand again, defiantly, proudly. The band resumed playing. Whispers turned to applause. Her father watched quietly, something softening in his expression. That night, for the first time, he saw his daughter happy. Epilogue. A year later. Ali worked harder than ever, eventually earning a scholarship to medical school. Ayesha supported him every step of the way, quietly, without flaunting her wealth, just as she always had. When Ali graduated, Mr. Qureshi was there in the crowd. As Ali received his medal, their eyes met, and the old man nodded, a silent gesture of respect. Outside, under the same stars he once whispered to, Ali turned to Ayesha and said, "You changed my life." She smiled, holding his hand. "No, Ali. You just needed someone to remind you how bright you already were." The camera pans upward to the night sky as soft music swells. Text fades in. True love doesn't see status, it sees souls. Sometimes, the richest hearts belong to those who've had the least.